Good morning to all of you. Okay, so what we have discussed in the last session? Have we completed the application layer? Yes. Okay, so let's start with the next, that is a TCP IP model. Let me share my screen. ओके, सो TCP/IP भी हमने ऑलरेडी स्टार्ट कर दिया था. ओके. Is my screen visible to all?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so if you can see here, we have already started the TCP/IP model, in which we have discussed that there are mainly 4 layers in the TCP/IP, right? Application, transport, network, and these two layer are merged with each other, right? Which is used as a network interface, as you can see here, right? So as you can see, TCP/IP model, which consists of 4 layers, and OSI model, which has a 7 layers. So in this, we have discussed about the IP protocol, right? In IP protocol, we have discussed the internet layer, in which we have discussed that some uh, characteristics, some features of that. So we can say that IP is the internet protocol layer, is the most significant protocol which has these features like IP addressing, host to host communication, data encapsulation, fragmentation, and reassembly. Right? These are certain characteristics, these are the certain functionalities of the IP protocol. Then we have discussed about the ARP protocol, which is a address resolution protocol. Now, if I say for the address resolution protocol, so as I've said, this protocol is used for what purpose? So this thing you need to remember that ARP is used to find the physical address, or we can say the MAC address from the IP address. As I have said that if there are many hosts on the network, then each devices is assigned with some IP addresses, right? So for that, we need to find the physical address with context to IP address, right? So that can be done by using an ARP protocol, which is used to find the physical address from the IP address. Now, mainly there are two terminologies, there are two terms that are used for the ARP, that is ARP request and ARP reply, right? So if I say ARP request, so when the sender wants to know the physical address of the device, it broadcasts the ARP request to the network. So whenever, if we can say that if there is one sender, or we can say if there is one host on the network, and that host wants to find the physical address of any other host, so what the sender will do, that host will broadcast that ARP request to all the devices which are there on the network. So as and when the specific host, the as I you can see in this diagram that this is the by using the ARP, this is the host, it broadcasts the request to all other PCs on the network. Now as and when all the device on the network will receive the ARP request, but only that specific uh, device will send back a response message to the sender whom the IP address is concerned with, right? So whenever the request is sent, along with the request, the IP address is broadcasted. So that specific device will identify its own IP address and will get to know that sender is searching for my physical address. So he will send back the reply to the sender by using an ARP reply message, right? So in this way, the ARP works. Now the next is ICMP protocol, that is the Internet Control Message Protocol. Let me write. So ICMP stands for Internet Control Message Protocol. Now, one thing we can say, it is a mechanism used by the host or the routers to send the notification regarding the datagram problems back to the sender. Now here the datagram travels from one station to the another station, or we can say from one router to the another router until it reaches its destination. Right now, if a router is unable to route the data because of some unusual conditions, right, such as if the link is failed, if the error occurs, or due to the congestion, then ICMP protocol is used to inform the sender that the datagram is unable to deliver at the destination, right. So ICMP used for what? That we can say that, let's say that if the sender wants to send any data to at certain destination, right, so sender will just send the data, but that particular datagram, that particular data, or we can say the packet, needs to travel from hope to hope, or we can say from one router to the another router. Now sometimes it happens that due to some unusual situation, or we can say due to the failure in the link, right, in that condition what happens that the datagram will be stuck in between, right. So at that time the ICMP protocol is introduced. ICMP just contact the sender that whatever the data that you have sent is unable to reach at the destination because of this problem. That problem can be link failure, that problem can be a congestion, that problem can be any error occurs between the source and the destination, right. So for the ICMP protocol, mainly two terms is used: ICMP test and ICMP reply. ICMP test is used to test that whether the destination is reachable or not. That means it checks the path, right, between the source and the destination, that whatever the path that exists between the source and the destination is a correct path, it's a smooth path, is there any failures, or the link is proper or not, right. So for that we have a term that is ICMP test. ICMP reply is used to check whether the destination device is responding or not, or we can say whether the destination device is active or not to send back a response message to the sender, right. So mainly we have a two term here for the ICMP, that is ICMP test, that checks whether the path between the sender and the receiver is available or not. ICMP test and ICMP reply. So here we can say the main responsibility of the ICMP problem is just to inform the sender that there is a problem in the path between the source point and the destination point. ICMP problem cannot solve that problem, right. It is just responsible to inform the sender that this is the problem, this is the error occurs in between, but while transmitting the datagram from a source point to the destination point, right. So we can say that correction, that problem can be solved only by the sender. The ICMP cannot solve that issue, cannot correct the error, right. It is just used for informing the sender that there is some problem between the source point and the destination point, right. Then next is transport layer. Now, this is very important layer, we can say, in the OSI and as well as in the TCP/IP. So first of all, transport layer, agar koi bhi, whenever if it is asked to explain about the transport layer, there are certain points that you need to remember. First is transport layer is a reliable, or we can say it is responsible for the reliability, right? So whatever the protocol that are there in the transport layer that are we can say the TCP and the UDP, two protocols are there in the transport layer. So both have different functionalities. If I say about the TCP, then we can say TCP is a reliable protocol. So mainly the transport layer is responsible for the reliability. Next is the second functionality is flow control. So as I have said, the flow control is the very important mechanism for transmitting the data from the source point to this destination point. Now, just imagine that if there is no flow control situation, what are the causes of that, right? If during the transmission, if the flow control mechanism is not there, then what are the causes of the flow control if we are not using that mechanism? Can anyone share their views? If you forgot, it's okay. I'll explain it. Okay, no problem. So मान लो that if we don't have a flow control mechanism, तो क्या होगा? Whatever the sender is sending the data to the receiver, sometimes it happens that the speed of flowing the data is high, or we can say the sender is sending at a high transmission rate, but at the same time receiver does not have a capacity to receive the data at the same rate. So at that time, what happens if we don't have a flow control mechanism? The receiver will be overwhelmed by the sender, right? क्या होगा कि let's say that if we are saying that if the computer is sending the data to the mobile phone, right? Now the transmission rate of both the devices are different. Obviously, the if the laptop, or we can say if the PC is sending some data to the mobile phone, and if there is no flow control mechanism, it might happen that the transmission rate of the PC does not match with the mobile phone. So at that time, some data packets might be lost, right? Some data packets might be corrupted in between. So these are certain things that happens if we don't have a flow control mechanism. अब यहाँ पे flow control mechanism क्या काम करता है? So flow control mechanism, it controls the flow of the data. It maintains a balance between the one device and the another device, right? So फ्लो कंट्रोल में क्या होता है कि भाई if the sender is sending the data, then if we have a flow control mechanism, it controls that flow to balance the transmission of data between the sender and the receiver. And due to that, the receiver will not be overwhelmed. Due to that, the data packets will not be lost, or it won't be corrupted, right? So it is necessary to use the flow, it is necessary to have the flow control mechanism during to transfer the data from the source point to the destination point. So mainly the transport layer is responsible, we can say, for reliability. Second thing, we can say flow control. And third, we can say correction of data. That means we can say correction of data which is being sent over the network. Right? So mainly in the transport layer, there are two protocols used at the transport layer. First is, we can say, TCP, that is Transmission Control Protocol. And the third one is UDP, that is a user datagram protocol. So if I say about the transport, that is a TCP. So the first thing that we can say, TCP is a reliable protocol. Now how we can decide the reliability? Reliability कौन से टर्म से हम लोग reliability define कर सकते हैं? So first we can say that if the sender is sending any data to a receiver, so if we can say like that the sender will be concerned about whatever the data that has been sent by the sender will be received at the receiver side. So TCP gives that guarantee that the packet that has been sent by the sender, that must be received at the receiver side. For that, receiver needs to acknowledge back to the sender that yes, whatever the packet that has been dispatched from your side, and it is successfully received at my side. So TCP is always concerned with whatever the data that has been sent at their side, right? So we can say it provides the reliability. Next is we can say it detects the error. Sometimes it happens that during the transmission some error occurs in the link or in the intermediate nodes, we can say. So for that, the after some time, if the sender is not getting an acknowledgement from the receiver, sender will retransmit that data packet again, right? Sometimes क्या होता कि कुछ देर के बाद अगर सेंडर को एक्नॉलेजमेंट नहीं आता है रिसीवर के साइड, सो एट दैट टाइम sender assumes that whatever the data that has been sent by them, that is lost in between, or their error occurs in between the path, right? Or at that time the sender will assume that the packet has been lost, so it retransmits that packet again to the receiver, right? So we can say that it provides a reliability in that case. Second thing, we can say that it is a connection oriented protocol. Let me just write the key points here. It provides reliability, or we can say reliable protocol. Second thing, we can say it is a connection oriented protocol. Now connection oriented क्यों बोला जा रहा है? Because whenever sender and the receiver start its transmission, before that it establish the virtual path between them, right? It establish the connection. So what happens in this case, when the sender starts its data transmission, before that it established the connection between the source point and the destination point. It creates the virtual circuit between the sender and the receiver, and it will be active for a certain period of the time. As and when the data transmission completes, the connection will be closed, right? So that's why we can say it's a connection oriented. Before transmitting the data, connection is already established, path is already created by the sender, so that the packet can travel smoothly. So we can say it's a connection oriented. Then it provides some services also. Then next is we can say that at the sending end, TCP divides the whole message into the smaller units, which we call it as a segment. And each segment which is sent by the sender is given some sequence number. So at that time, the TCP expect that in whatever the order the sender has sent the segment, in the same order it must be received at the receiver side. But sometimes it happens if it is not received at the receiver side, so there is one reassembly process that make an arrangement of all the segment based on the sequence number which is given by the sender, right? So at the receiving end, the TCP collects all the segments. If it is not in the order in which the sender has sent, so it performs the reassembly process, or we can say arrange the packets in such a way based on the sequence number which is given by the sender, right? So we can say divides the whole message into segment. and assign sequence number. Next is UDP. So UDP, we can say it's a unreliable protocol. अभी unreliable क्यों है? We can say it is a it provides a connection less service. It is unreliable because whatever the error that occurs in between the source point and the destination point, it cannot able to specify that error. It cannot detect that error, right? So वो एरर ही डिटेक्ट नहीं कर पाएगा, so retransmission का कोई केस ही नहीं आएगा, because if the sender has sent the packet, right, and so let's say that if the error occurs or if the some data packet is dropped in between, so there is no any facility like to retransmit that data again, right? So that's why it is called as an unreliable protocol. Then next is, we can say, connectionless protocol. Connectionless, we can say it provides connectionless service, end-to-end delivery takes place. That means we can say, like, if the sender has sent the packet and that will be received at the receiver side, but before that the connection is not established. It does not create the path like a TCP. TCP में क्या होता था कि जो भी डेटा ट्रांसमिशन होता था उसके पहले एक कनेक्शन एस्टैब्लिश होता था बिटवीन द सोर्स पॉइंट एंड द डेस्टिनेशन पॉइंट. The virtual path is created between the sender and the receiver, so every segment needs to follow that same path and travel through that path only to reach at the destination point. While in the UDP, that is not the case. Here the path is not established, or we can say the path is not created between the source point and the destination point. There is no connection establishment process takes place between the sender and the receiver. That's why it is connectionless. It is unreliable protocol, right? और इसके बहुत सारी चीजें बोल सकते हैं, but we'll discuss in detail later. अभी तो सिर्फ हम इसका brief ही देखेंगे, what is TCP, what is UDP, right? So this is all about the transport layer, which consists of two protocols: TCP, that is a transmission control protocol, and another one is UDP protocol. Now the next is application layer. So if I say about the application layer, so as you can see in the diagram, application layer is the topmost layer of the TCP IP model, right? As you can see here, the all layers of the TCP IP model, all layers of the OSI model. So if we consider only the TCP IP model, application layer is the topmost layer in the TCP IP model. Second thing we can say, it is responsible for handling high level protocols, issues of representation, because the presentation and the session layers are already included as a part of the application layer, right? So when one application layer protocol wants to communicate with another application layer, it forwards its data to the transport layer, then transport will send to the network and network to the network interface, right? So in this way it works like. So first thing we can say, there is an ambiguity occurs at the application layer, right? That means we can say that every application can be placed inside the application layer except those who interact with the communication system, right? So these are certain things that comes under the application layer. There are certain protocols that are used at the application layer, as you can see in the diagram also: HTTP protocol, FTP protocol, Telnet, DNS, SMTP. These are the certain protocols that are used in the application layer, right? We'll discuss all these protocols in detail. Next chapter है, उसमें सारे protocols हम detail में पढ़ेंगे. What is SMTP protocol? What is SNMP? What is HTTP protocol, right? HTTP, web and HTTP is the whole topic in the second chapter. As I have already covered in the another class. So we'll discuss in detail about them, right? So there are certain protocols that are used at the application layer, but few points that we can write about the application layer, that is topmost layer of TCP/IP. Second thing we can say, responsible for handling the high level protocols, issues of representation. So we can say handling the protocols. And this layer allows the user to interact with the application. Okay, so these are certain things about the TCP/IP model. So let me just revise once again. So as you can see here, TCP/IP model consists of four layers: application layer, transport layer, network layer, and the network interface, right? So these are certain protocols that comes under the application layer, which allows the user to directly communicate with the application, right? Then next is we have seen the transport layer, which consists of mainly two protocols, that is the TCP, transmission control protocol, and the another one is UDP. So that we have discussed that what is a TCP and what is UDP. Before that we have discussed the functionalities of the transport layer. Transport layer is mainly responsible for what? So that we have seen, it is mainly responsible for reliability, flow control, and the correction of the data. Mainly the two protocols are there at the transport layer: TCP protocol and the UDP protocol. So we have seen, it's a brief introduction about the TCP and the UDP, right? That functionalities we have discussed. Then after we have seen the network layer, in which we have seen that there are some protocols that comes under the network layer, in which the IP protocol is the most significant protocol, and we have seen its functionality, right? The core functionality we have discussed in the IP protocol, and after that we have discussed the ARP protocol, which is the address resolution protocol that comes under the network layer, which has mainly two terms associated with the ARP, that is the ARP request and the ARP reply, right? So we have seen the how the ARP request can be made by the sender, and how the client will send back the respond by using the ARP reply, right? So the two terms associated with the ARP that you need to remember, that is ARP request and ARP reply. The third protocol that is used, that are there in the network layer, that is internet control message protocol, where we have seen that it is mainly responsible for informing the sender if any error occurs during the transmission between the sender and the receiver, right? So there are mainly two terms which is responsible for the ICMP, that is ICMP test and ICMP reply, right? So in which we have seen that ICMP test is responsible for what? That it checks whether the path exists between the source point and the destination point. And ICMP reply is responsible for what? That it checks whether the destination device is responding or it is active or not, right? So mainly there are two terms associated with the ICMP that we have seen: ICMP test and ICMP reply. And then after we have seen the application layer, we have seen its functionalities. So these are the things that we can say about the application layer, right? So we have completed the two model, TCP/IP model and the OSI model. We have discussed in detail about the OSI model as well and the TCP/IP model as well. right? So now it is completed. Now these are some difference of the OSI and the TCP/IP, right? ये अगर ये दोनों लेयर जो दोनों मॉडल है, if it is clear with you, then you can easily write the difference between the OSI and the TCP/IP model, right? So we have already discussed that part. If you can see, आप ये points देख सकते हो और refer भी कर सकते हो. It can be asked in the exam, in the 3 marks or a 4 marks में difference आ सकता है. But if you are clear with the architecture, you can easily write the points by yourself, right? आप easily लिख सकते हो. So this is all about the OSI and the TCP/IP. यहाँ पे difference दिए गए हैं. So you can refer this difference. Next is network edge. So ये हमने starting में ही देखा था that edge device is any a piece of hardware that controls data flow at the boundary between the two networks, right? So there are certain things in which we have discussed in the network matrices, that there are certain parameters that affects the network, that affects the networking core devices as well, right? So this is the same thing which is defined over here, right? So these are certain things that access network, if we discuss about the access network, then we can say there are physical media that comes into existence, that is wired and wireless. We have already discussed in the transmission media also that basically it has two types, guided media and the unguided media. If we talk about the network edge, then we can say the host can be of two types, that is the client and the servers. And the servers we can say often in the data centers, right? We can say the cluster of the servers, we call it as a data centers. Then yes, network core, where it consists of the, we can say that how the data can be transferred through the network, how the data transmission takes place. For that we have a two concept, that is circuit switching and the packet switching. Now this is very important topic. Now if I say about the circuit switching की अगर बात करें, then one thing that we can say that circuit switching is divided, we can say in the circuit switching, resources is divided into pieces and bit delay is constant during the connection. So whenever the circuit switching, अगर circuit switching use कर रहा है for transmitting the data from the source point to the destination point, so before that the path is already established. That means there is a dedicated path between the sender and the receiver, which gives a guarantee that the data, whatever the data that has been sent by the sender, that will be received at the receiver side. So we can say data can be transmitted without any delay once the circuit is established, right? In the telephone system, we can say, which is the best example of the circuit switching, right? Then time division multiplexing and frequency division multiplexing are the two methods of the multiplexings. Multiple signals into a carrier signal. That means these two methods are there for the multiplexing, which use the circuit switching, right? So circuit switching का अगर best example दूँ तो पहले circuit switching है क्या? Well, first of all discuss that कि circuit switching में क्या होगा, that let's say that this is a sender. एक general example से explain कर रही हूँ, so you will have an idea. Let's say that this is a sender and this is a receiver. Now in between them there are many routers, or we can say there are many nodes which are there between the source point and the destination point. Now let's say that if the sender and the receiver, this is the sender and this is the receiver, right? So here what happens if it uses the concept of circuit switching? So what happens in that case, before sending the data, the path is already established between the sender and the receiver. Now let's say that if the path is established like this way, first path is this, second path is this, third is this, and the fourth is this. Okay? 1, 2, 3, and 4. The path is already established between the sender and the receiver. Now let's say if the sender is sending the whole data packet, right? This is the data packets 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that this packet will first travel from first router. This is the first router. So sender to first router, first router to the second router, second to third, and third to the receiver point. So first of all, this data packet has to travel from this path. After that, between this router to this router, that is from this to this, and then after from this router, that is the second router to the third router, and third router to the receiver side. So that means all the packets which has been sent by the sender needs to follow the same path which has already been established, which has already been decided by the sender, right? So we can say there is a dedicated path between the sender and the receiver. That means it gives a guarantee that whatever the packet that has been sent by the sender, that will be received at the receiver side. This is all about the circuit switching. ये circuit switching है. Now I'll tell you about the packet switching. You will have an idea कि दोनों में difference क्या है. वैसे तो ये बहुत डिटेल्ड टॉपिक है, बट यहाँ पे सिर्फ आपको कंसेप्ट समझा रही हूँ, क्योंकि डिटेल में नहीं आता है, आपको सिलेबस में नहीं है डिटेल में. सो आई एम जस्ट एक्सप्लेनिंग दी कंसेप्ट. लेट्स से दिस इज द सेंडर and this is the receiver, right? And in between them, and these are the routers. Now let's say that in the packet switching, the path is not a dedicated path. There is no dedicated path in the packet switching. यहाँ पे कोई भी dedicated path नहीं होगा. That means if the sender wants to transmit any data, the path is not established between the source point and the destination point. So what happens in this case? यहाँ पे जब sender को कोई data packet send करना है, so what happens? Every part of the we can say the data will travel through a different route. Now let's say this is packet 1, packet 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So this packet, let's say that if the packet number 1, यहाँ से destination तक जाने के routes बहुत सारे हैं, right? Now let's say that if the packet number 1 has traveled from this route to this route, right? Packet number 1 ने ये route से travel किया. Let's say packet number 2 is traveling from this route. Packet number 3 is traveling from this route. Right? So you can see here that all the packets are traveling from the different route. So there might be a possibility that if any packet has taken the small path, or we can say the shortest path, so that packet will be reached first. Right? Now let's say that if there are 5 packets which has been sent by the sender, and let's say that packet number 3 has taken the shortest path, so there might be a possibility that at the receiver side, packet 3 will reach first. Let's say after that packet 4 will reach first, then after packet 2 will reach first, then 5, and then packet 1. So let's say if the packet 1 has been dispatched first, but if it has taken the longest path to reach at the destination point, there might be a possibility that it will reach last at the receiver side. right? So there is a possibility that whatever the packet that has been sent by the sender, and if it has sent in order, but that will not be received by the receiver in order, right? रिसीवर के साइड वो सेम ऑर्डर पे पैकेट रिसीव नहीं होंगे, because all the packets which has been sent by the sender will travel through the different route, because there is no dedicated path between the sender and the receiver in the packet switching. So this is all about the packet switching. So the main point we can say about the circuit and the packet switching is, in the circuit switching, there is a dedicated path between the sender and the receiver. So all the data packets will travel through the same route, while there is no dedicated path between the sender and the receiver in the packet switching, right? So all the packets will travel through the different route in the packet switching. So is it clear to all of you up till now? Okay, so this chapter ends here. Packet switching, I have already discussed circuit switching, packet switching, and this is a connection less versus connection oriented that we have already discussed. That what is connection oriented and what is connection less, right? हमने OSI model में already connection less and connection oriented discuss कर लिया है. So here the chapter ends, right? We have a second lecture जो 1 to 2 का जो slot है, that will be taken by me instead of a Vipul sir. So in that session we'll start the second chapter. Okay, TP1.
Present, ma'am.
Okay, 1,
Present, ma'am.
2,
Present, ma'am.
3, 4,
Yes, ma'am.
5, 6,
Present, ma'am.
7,
Present, ma'am.
8, 10,
Present, ma'am.
12,
Present, ma'am.
13, 13, okay, 15,
Present, ma'am.
17, 18,
Present, ma'am.
19,
Present, ma'am.
20, 21,
Present, ma'am.
22,
Present, ma'am.
23, 24,
23 present, ma'am.
it is marked as present. 24, 25, 26, 27,
Ma'am,
Yes, ma'am.
17
27.
present.
28, 29,
Present, ma'am.
31, 32, 33,
Present, ma'am.
34, 35,
Present, ma'am.
36,
Present, ma'am.
37, 38, 39, 40,
Present.
43,
Present, ma'am.
45, 46, 47,
46.
Present, ma'am.
okay, 48, 50, 51, 52,
51 present, ma'am.
52, 53,
Present, ma'am.
AI 49 is already marked as present. 31, 53 is present. 54, 55,
Present, ma'am.
56,
Yes, ma'am.
57, 58,
Present, ma'am.
59, 60,
Yes, ma'am.
61, 62, 63,
Yes, ma'am.
64, 65, 67,
Present, ma'am.
68, 69,
Present, ma'am.
71, 73,
Yes, ma'am. 73.
D to D, 1, 2,
Present, ma'am.
3, 4,
Present, ma'am.
5,
Present, ma'am.
6, okay, check this numbers. स्क्रीन पे लिखे थे वो सारे नंबर्स यहाँ पे मैंने प्रेजेंट मार्क कर दिए. फिर भी if I have mistakenly marked as an absent, you can write in the chat box.
Ma'am, BD11.
BD 11, हाँ पर BD का भी लिया ही नहीं है ना मैंने, बाकी अभी. AI students, check the screen. Okay. Big data students. 1, 2,
Yes, ma'am.
3, 4, 5,
Present, ma'am.
7, 8, 9,
Present, ma'am.
10,
Yes, ma'am.
11,
Present, ma'am.
12, 13.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so 4 students are absent from big data: Ayush, Mansi, Riddhi, and Manthan. Okay. Okay, so thank you all of you. You may leave the session.